She told me not to come home, not for one night, not until she figured out if she still wanted me in her life at all. And the part that still keeps me up at night is this. For the first few hours, I genuinely didn't understand what I had done wrong. 4 years together, a house with both our names on the mail, even though only hers was on the deed. Quiet conversations about rings and dates and the kind of future people only talk about when they actually believe in it. And somehow, all of that came crashing down over something as small as a birthday party. I want to walk you through exactly how it happened, because when you hear it from the start, you'll understand why it wasn't really about the party at all. My girlfriend has always been the kind of person who shows love through effort. Every year, without fail, she plans my birthday like it's the most important day on the calendar. She books the venue, she pays for it, every cent, without ever once bringing it up like it's a burden. She spends weeks making sure the people I love have somewhere to be and something to smile about. This year, she started even earlier than usual. 2 full months before my birthday, she had already locked in the venue, put down a non-refundable deposit, and personally reached out to my entire family to make sure the date worked for everyone. They all said yes, every single one of them. So a week before the party, she asked me to do one small thing. Just call my brother, confirm how many people were coming, lock in the final head count. That's it. One phone call. That phone call is where everything started to unravel. My brother's voice was casual, almost bored. He told me the whole family had changed their minds, said it would be more convenient to do something in April instead, and then, almost as an afterthought, he mentioned that whatever they ended up doing in April, they wanted my girlfriend to plan that one too. The same woman they had just backed out on, with 1 week's notice after 2 months of silence. Can you believe that? Waiting until the deposit was already spent, until the invitations were already out, to casually cancel, and then ask her to do it all over again for them. When I told my girlfriend what he said, I watched her face change in real time. First confusion, then disbelief, then something closer to fury than I had ever seen from her. She said she was going to lose the deposit, said she was done pretending my family's behavior toward her was normal, said she wasn't changing a single detail of the party she had already built. I need to pause here and give you some context because without it, none of this makes sense. My family has never once shown up for her. Not at her college graduation, not at her own birthday party, not even at the housewarming for the house she paid for entirely on her own. They talk to her in that clipped, distant tone people use when they've already decided someone doesn't matter and they don't care if she notices. And it isn't just her they treat that way. I've spent my entire life as the odd one out in that family. My mother left when I was young, walked away and left me with a father who wasn't exactly patient or kind. And only came back years later, in my early 20s, expecting forgiveness like the years in between hadn't happened. My brother has 6 kids, no steady job, and somehow still finds the energy to look down on the one woman who has stood beside me, unconditionally, for 4 straight years. So when she said she was exhausted, when she said she couldn't keep absorbing their disrespect, some part of me understood exactly where that exhaustion was coming from. But instead of standing next to her in that moment, I said the absolute wrong thing. I told her I just wanted everyone to be happy, that I wasn't sure what the plan even was anymore. Her whole body went still. She looked at me the way you look at someone who has just confirmed something you were hoping wasn't true. And then it all came pouring out. She was tired of my family, tired of being an afterthought in her own relationship, tired of watching me make excuses for people who had never once extended her the same grace. She said I had too many unresolved issues, too much baggage. That being with me sometimes felt like being slowly worn down instead of built up. And then she said the sentence that still echoes in my head, "Don't come home tonight. Go somewhere else. Let me think." It was her house, inherited from her grandmother, paid off, entirely hers. She didn't need my permission to say that. And in that moment, I honestly didn't feel like I had any right to argue. I ended up sitting in my car outside a friend's apartment, completely lost. 4 years, and it suddenly felt like all of it was unraveling because of one canceled party. But here's the part I didn't expect. The moment I finally talked to people outside my own head, people who had no emotional stake in protecting my family's feelings, the picture became painfully clear. Every single person I talked to said some version of the same thing, that I wasn't the one being wronged here, that I had spent years quietly allowing my family to disrespect the one person who had never stopped showing up for me. Someone pointed out a detail that hit me like a punch to the chest. My brother's wife was 7 months pregnant, not 2 weeks along. Not a sudden surprise sprung on them last minute. They had known for months. If comfort was really the issue, they had 2 entire months to say something. They didn't. They waited. Deliberately, it seemed, until every deposit was already spent, until every plan was already locked in, and only then decided to pull back, and somehow, in the same breath, expected her to turn around and plan an entirely new event to accommodate them. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a pattern. Sitting there, replaying the last 4 years in my head, I realized something uncomfortable. My family had been quietly testing exactly how much they could get away with. And every single time, without fail, I had proven the answer was whatever they wanted, because I never once pushed back. I thought about all the times we drove an hour and a half to be at their events, every holiday, every gathering, without complaint. And they had never once made that same drive for us. They had never even seen the inside of our home. That thought sat with me for a long time that night. 2 days later, I finally did something different. I called my brother. My voice was steadier than I expected it to be. I told him I was keeping the party my girlfriend had built for me exactly as planned. I told him she had put real time and real money into it, and that the family was welcome to come or not. Either way, nothing was changing. His response was one word: K. That single letter told me everything I needed to know about how little effort they had ever actually put into this relationship. 4 years of walking on eggshells, and this was the response I got the moment I finally stood my ground. But standing up to my brother wasn't the hard part. Finding her again was. I drove straight to her, and for the first time in longer than I could remember, I begged her to just talk to me. Not defend myself, not explain myself, just talk. And then, sitting in a Starbucks parking lot of all places, I told her things I had never said out loud to another human being in my entire life. I told her about my mother leaving, about growing up feeling like love was something you had to earn through good behavior instead of something you were simply given. I told her about the quiet, constant fear that if I ever pushed back against my family, they would disappear the way she had, and I'd be alone all over again. I told her about the counseling I had avoided for years because talking about any of it made it feel real. By the time I finished, I was on my knees in the passenger seat of her car, crying harder than I think I ever have as an adult. It was raw. It was embarrassing, but it was honest, maybe for the first time in our entire relationship. She didn't walk away. She held me. She cried with me. And when she finally spoke, she said almost exactly what everyone else had already told me, that I hadn't had her back, that every time I chose neutrality over loyalty, it felt like being chosen last in my own relationship. It broke something in me to hear her say that, not because it was cruel, because it was true. I promised her right there in that parking lot that things were going to change. Not with empty words, but with something concrete. I booked a counseling appointment for the following week and asked her to come with me so she could finally say everything she had been holding back, in a space where I couldn't get defensive or deflect. I didn't show up with some grand romantic gesture, no elaborate plan, no big speech rehearsed in the mirror. Just a small bouquet of flowers and a willingness to finally be honest about every part of myself I had spent years avoiding. We're still together. She's forgiven me, though the hurt from that week hasn't fully disappeared, and I don't expect it to overnight. She made one thing very clear to me, and I don't blame her for it. If I ever bend to my family's expectations at her expense again, she won't wait around to see if I change a second time. I understand that completely. I earned that condition, and I intend to keep it. Looking back now, I think the scariest part of that entire week wasn't the fight itself. It was realizing how close I came to losing someone who had shown me consistent, patient love for 4 years, because I was still chasing approval from people who had never once given me any real reason to. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones quietly testing exactly how much disrespect you'll absorb before you finally say enough. And sometimes the person who actually deserves your loyalty has been standing right in front of you the whole time, simply waiting for you to notice. If you think she was right to demand better, subscribe.